Alright, let's do a Geodesy update. I'm recording this on April 21st. The data we've got today goes up through April 16th, so a few days delayed. Here's the view of the path of the North Pole since January 1st of 2023. So this is 23, 24, 25, and 2026 year to date. What we can see here, obviously the diameter of the wobble has gotten much smaller. Like Zacharias on Twitter has observed, the magnitude of both the annual and the Chandler wobble is significantly less than it was just a couple years ago. We really saw kind of over starting around the summer of 24 going into the beginning of 25 is when the diameter really shrunk down a lot. Now, good news, it's still continuing to wobble. It's still making a spiral, albeit with some bigger variation, some bigger hiccups along the way. Zacharias postulates that the mechanism or mechanisms driving those hiccups, be it wind, sea pressure on the Earth, be it something at the Earth core mantle boundary, be it whatever, that probably has been there all along, but it was masked somewhat by the magnitude of the Chandler and annual wobble previously, and this has kind of exposed it somewhat, if you will. That may be true. If you go back to the beginning of this year, several people, Zacharias and myself included, were particularly concerned about the tendency for it to kind of jerk and go down on the page, if you will, perhaps something going towards 78 West, which has been its long-term secular trend. The concern was if there was a reduction in the stabilization of that axis, and whenever you had a null, when the gravity from the moon was not aligned with either north or south pole, you get less stabilization. Do we start to kind of go and drift off in something that would be not a spiral? In that context, it is good news that the spiral is continuing. It's good news that the shape doesn't look too weird. But the one flip side of that is I will be relieved to see it start to turn left further and start to kind of go back up. Because if you take the hypothesis that left to its own devices, due to the gravitational influence of the LLSVPs, the Earth kind of wants to go towards 78 West a little bit. That direction is down and slightly to the right in this chart. And so if it looks like the path here is struggling to take a turn and go up and to the left, if you will, then I would be more concerned. So on the one hand, we want the diameter of the wobble to get bigger. We want the magnitude of the annual and the Chandler wobble to increase. And if it keeps going in a line for a long ways and then finally turns left, that's good news, because you want that diameter to get bigger. But the flip side of that is if it struggles and fails to make that left turn, then I would be much more alarmed. So it's a somewhat paradoxical kind of state right now, where we see that it is continuing straight. It hasn't really turned much. On the one hand, we don't want it to turn yet because we want the diameter to get bigger. But if it tries and fails to turn left, to go back up north and kind of pull away from that 78 West attractor, if you will, then I'd be much more concerned. So that's your update for today. Kind of the same position as we were last week. I will have an update again here in a week or so. Thanks for watching.